to yeah, taking you out to Rodeo and getting on the Highline for the first time. There's a couple of things that'll come in handy over the next couple of weeks, I reckon, just to make sure you get the most out of the weekend. So one is just core and arm strength. So on a Highline, we're going to be climbing up every time we fall off. And so the best thing you can kind of do, arm and core strength wise, is get yourself something like this or a tree and do these ones, because this is basically what you got to do when you fall off. Get up, get down, and just pump a few of those out. So pump a few of those out. That's one thing, because yeah, we're going to be limited. Like, we fall lots when we learn to Highline, so the less you can get gassed, and the more you keep going, the more you're going to get out of the weekend. So get a few of those out. The other thing that's going to be super handy is, often I find people when they're learning, and even this is even something myself, something I still work on, is generally the wobbliest bit on a Highline for us is when we're on one foot and we're taking a step. That's generally the wobbliest bit. So what we want to do is we want to develop that. So the way to develop that is one-footed work. So just spend some time building up your one-footed, both the technical skill and the endurance, and do it on a line that's appropriately hard. Rodeo lines are great. If you haven't spent much time on rodeo lines, then this is a rodeo that's 2-3 meters up. Spend some time on these and just one-footed, and you can just put your foot in front, put your foot front and back like you're stepping. Yeah, really good sort of training. That one-footed, sort of be able to get rid of that one-footed wobble. The other thing that people find hard for sure is on the mounts. So the mounts become pretty much the weak bit, I guess, all the time on the Highline. Like once you stand up, you've kind of achieved it in some way, but people have a lot of trouble standing up. There's a few reasons for this, but Highline's generally looser than a 50-meter park line. So if you're practicing 50 meters in a park, you're going to have a more sag in the Highline. And we do that for a few reasons, but it makes us fall softer for one. So we use stretchy webbing, therefore the sag's more. So we want to practice our mounts, and we want to practice them on something that's saggier than a tight park line. So this is good practice here. I've got the anchors, 3 meters up, I guess. That anchor's even higher than that, and the line's quite short. It's not a long line. And then what we want to do is we want to practice our mounts. And whether or not you do a chongo or a sit start doesn't matter. So get yourself practicing these. If I'm closer to this end, it's easier because I'm rolling downhill. When they're closer to that end, I've got to really pull myself up. So you really want to practice your mounts. And it's good to be able to do your mounts slowly and controlled. So some people can really get up the mount up quickly, but then they introduce a lot of wobble into the line, which you then got to deal with when you're standing up. So ideally, you're working on being able to mount slow and controlled, so that when you hop up, the line's pretty still and you haven't got a lot of movement to deal with. That's good to do. The other thing that's good to practice is on a Highline, the ground's so far below us. Like on this line, if the line moves left or right, I see it move left or right. On a Highline, we're higher up. We don't see the line move left or right, which means we don't have that visual reference to help us balance. So it means we have to use our other balance sensors more, which is our inner ear balance and our proprioception, which is where our limbs and stuff are in space. So in order to develop them so that they're strong when we need them, it's eyes closed work. So it doesn't have to be a line this hard, and you can just get up on the line, and you close your eyes for a while, and you just stay on the line. And if you start to fall, you just step down and start again, or you open your eyes. So yeah, really good to do. So looking at eyes closed to develop our other balance sensors, our inner ear balance and our proprioception. We're looking at core strength and arm strength. We're looking at loose lines to get used to the high line being on a looser line. We're working on our mounts so that we're strong for those when we come to high line. The other one you can do for core strength is, if you've got the gear for it, if not, you can go to Bunnings and get some span sets. These are 1 ton span sets. You get them at Bunnings, and then you can set up some sort of situation where you're practicing sit-ups in the harness to build your core strength, because you're going to have to do this again when you fall off, and you're going to do it when you fall off as well. It's gonna help you, not get injured. So anytime you can get some sit-ups in the harness is always handy. And the last thing is, I'm not sure what you've got water-wise, but you're on the Gold Coast, so you might have some stuff around, but might be a bit complex to set up. So don't stress about water lines if you can't do them. But if you can get yourself a water line, water lines are really good practice, because on a water line, if you what happens on a normal slack line, you have to control your fall so that you land feet first, right? When you fall. On a high line, we actually want to fall head first. It helps us not get caught up in our safety line and so forth. And so what this means is, you can fight for longer. You don't have to fall off feet first. In fact, you don't want to. So it's better if you practice not falling off as quickly and really fighting and you can get more out of balance before you fall. So we want to do that if you've got a water line. I mean, if you don't, we can talk about it on the weekend and figure out some plans for, I can talk to you about how to rig water lines and where you'd be going and stuff. But water lines are really good for that, because you'll fight longer before you fall. And also the water doesn't give you as good a reference for balance as the ground. So it's also good practice because it's harder than a ground line. So one, it's good for practicing falling and fighting longer before you give up and fall off. And the other thing it's good for is it's a bit harder than the ground. So water lines are really good practice for that. And that lets us fall not feet first, I guess, in whatever way we want to fall. Whew. Anyway, man, yeah, we'll see you at Brouillard. I'm going to send you some more stuff, but there's a couple of things to work on that's going to help you, get set up to get the most out of the weekend. All right, see you, man.